On the way up, it was after dark already. I just see someone do push up on an arm and say, join boy. And just do push up until I say when.
You were born and grew up in St. Mary?
Yes, I was born in a little village named Albion Mountain that's like a few miles outside of Port Maria. Born there, grew up at another part of St. Mary. Went to school, joined the military at a young age, you know. So it was a big family of us, you know, cousins, brothers, sisters, all living together, you know. Yeah, so by the time I joined the JDF in 1987, we were living in another place called Enfield. That's closer to the border with Portland by this time, yeah. But as a young man, I always knew that we always did farming, but farming was not for me. As my son would say, I'm too scared. Scared of everything, so I joined the military instead.
So you were scared, but you joined
the military, yeah. So the military makes you into a man quickly, so I guess that worked for me. Yeah, so I joined the Jamaica Defence Force in 1987, summer of 87. We spent all that time, you know, in boot camp in Newcastle. I'm not sure if they do boot camp in Newcastle anymore, but it was a place that, you know, you find yourself quickly because there's always something to do. There's always instructors coming at you. And that's where you learn to bond as a brotherhood, you know, to get the job done, despite the obstacles, despite whatever challenges you face. So, yeah, that's what I did early on. So, yeah, that's how I got my start in service, because most of my life I've been working in service of others. So that's where I started.
And what was your influence to want to get into the army?
I know some guys in my village who had gone and done that. I've always wanted to do something different than just being in the village and just be you know, one of the guys. Nothing wrong with that, but I always wanted to go and see the world. So that was my way. That was my ticket out, you know, because I know I had to get out somewhere, and that was, you know, a way for me to do, you know, something different. So, yeah.
And what was the process? How did is it that you spoke to someone who already had experience with them? What was your process of getting to the JDF?
I just started do my own thing. I applied. I went personally to JDF to Upper Camp. I went to Port Maria. There's a base in Port Maria in St. Mary, but that's a reserve base. But me don't want to soldier. So it never mattered them matter me say reserve or regular. It didn't matter to me at the time. But when I went to the reserve base in Port Maria, they had just did an intake, and they were not recruiting at that point. So I'm like, all right, I'll recruit. I'm going to town then.
And this was very young. Hold on. This was very young, like about what, 17, 18?
17, yeah.
17.
Yeah, 17.
So all right, I know a few persons who wanted to get into the army, right? Right. And when them reach training stage, them just have to leave it alone because them couldn't manage. How was it for you?
But I grew up in a tough household. As I tell you, my brother was a man out there like that. And then my grandma that I grew up with, I could not go back and face my grandma and tell granny say me feel. You know? Yeah. Because my granny a gangster a certain way in terms of discipline and all that thing there. So we couldn't face her with a failure. So that was my main motivation during training. Because I can't go back to St. Mary because I'm not make this.
So it was more a mental thing than physical?
More mental than physical for me, yes.
So tell me a little bit, run me through how the training went for you at that time.
Well, my first impression of Newcastle kind of changed when I arrived. I think it was a Thursday evening. The place cool like a foreign me there. It's if I come down the mountainside and everything, the truck arrived, and one smart guy on the truck just never came off the truck. He just go back to Kingston and go in the yard. Couldn't bother. Yeah, you can see it, I know like when you see already. So I came off the truck though, and then that very night, they provided meal, but I'm like, I'm not hungry, I want to get something different. So they have a shop. So I said, I go to the shop, go buy something for eat, you know. On the way up, it was after dark already. I just see someone do push up on an arm and say, join boy. And just do push up until I say when.
On your hungry stomach?
I'm on my hungry belly. And so I just do push up and then I don't know who that person is. I never figure out who that person was. There was no one soldier in a uniform. And then say, when I say go, I don't want to see again. I don't disappear. And then say go, I'm just going back down the hill. Going back into the room. And the man them say, hey, why food that we go buy? I said, yo, I'm good enough. I'm not hungry again, I'm good for the night. Remember that hungry, that was my first impression, that was my first thing on joining the JDF. So it's been hard work, but it's been fun along the way. But training, boot camp, no joke, it's no joke. Yeah man, it's serious. It teaches you a lot of things about yourself. A lot of stuff. Things that you didn't know you could do, you get it done as a recruit. You have to get it done. Yeah man.
So while you were there training, right?
Right.
Doing boot camp and all these things.
Yeah.
What would you say was one of your most memorable moments in boot camp?
The bad one or the good one?
Both.
The memory that stand out is that no matter, despite of everything, you know, when you're at some place, rain or fall, you stop. In the JDF, you not stop. That other thing will stand out with me right now. Well, from them time, you don't stop. So if you're out there shooting, you're doing whatever training or you do, you don't stop. Rain, then say rain will fall in the army, it fall on the army. So yeah, whatever you do, you keep going. If you're out there and your vehicle gets stuck in the mud, you push it to the mud, then you'll keep moving forward. It's always that. Keep going forward. That's always the thing. Yeah, that's not in my mind. Like the perseverance. I'm pushing forward.
So that's the good memory.
That's a good one.
What's the bad one?
The bad one is that people push me to my breaking point physically. Push you to my breaking point. Me the kind of claustrophobic then. And then you have to crawl through one tunnel. Like crawl through one culvert. But it kind of hot and miserable in there. People that crawl ahead of you, people that behind you, so you have to keep moving. And then the instructor beat the metal sitting so. Because one culvert sitting but I want metal, and I beat and I make up on eyes, and it confusing, and it like I never like that. And then you have some other obstacle where you have to go over, and the instructor beat the same time say I move too slow, you know. So the memory that kind of yeah. But when you get to the other part of it, when you graduate and when you look back, they call it passing out, then not graduate. But when you look back, you see the value of what they were trying to teach you. Because on your own, and my one would have stopped long time and I was done. But you know, then push you to your breaking point physically where you feel say you're dead now. And then you have to find it. You have to find it. So yeah, the physical challenging part is just a bad part for me. But it teach you, me as a little 18-year-old, it teach me to grow up quickly. And for those, the little things, no matter. Your foot hurt you, that little thing there, it no matter. You have to push on and get to where you need to get to. Yeah. So the little things that to this day, little things from my Newcastle days till now, little things is what I don't like when you tell me say little things stop you. If something big happen, the place burn down, this happen, that you know, something crash and you can't move, fine. But so if you tell me some little things, some little I don't like it to this day because little things don't stop the show, never stop the show.
Yeah. And those are good values. Because I never feel like, because honestly, it was not something I thought about getting into. Yeah. But when I hear stories from persons in the army, I always tell myself, boy, that's not something I could do. But what a lot of persons tell me is that when they get involved, themselves never feel like they could do it. Right. But at the end of the day, you develop this kind of discipline and rigor. That push you through life, right?
It does. It set you up for life in terms of, you know, being a team player and being a person who know where you're at and where you need to go. It make you grounded and it make you focus and it make you have a plan. Whatever you're gonna do, whatever area you're gonna go into, it make you have a plan and make you like you don't just go willy-nilly. To this day, I need structure. To this day, and Army teaches you structure. I've always had it, but when I joined JDF, it teaches you from a different level. Planning and preparation and how you think structured. Even my vacation, me kind of like to structure it, you know? So, yeah. When I approach from people who don't have no structure, I'm kind of lost. Because, yeah, when joined the Army young, so then teach you that, yeah, you have to, not just show up, but you have to show up the right way.
The right way.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, how much of that did you instill in your children?
My first, the one who born in the Gilbert time, she can tell you stories about me. My son, not so much, because he get the nice part of me. But my daughter, she can't tell you. Yeah, man, me look out for something that I stick out. And all of my kids, they can tell you. Say, I'm just the way I am. But my wife did most of the work with them because I was away in Guantanamo Bay all the time. So, I just kind of sit back and relax most of the time. But she does all the work. But the foundation we put, it's always been there. Always been there. Yeah. Because most of the things that I saw, like in the JDF with some of those things, like, being accountable to yourself, being accountable to people above you and all that. My granny teach me that. I couldn't diss my granny no time. A certain song, I tell my son all the time, a certain song where you hear I sing. Well, certain Rastaman song I couldn't sing in my granny house.
Oh, yeah?
No, you can't do that. My granny will whap my man. So, it teaches you discipline from that time. That if we sing certain songs, we make sure it's a granny in a year.
Yeah, so it's almost like you had that discipline and structure prior to the army. It's just the army puts it on a different level.
Yes. But the basis was always there. Yeah, man, we always have a basic fundamental, the same discipline, the hard work, and all that. We had that, yeah, man, from St. Mary, man.
So as it relates to...
Best water in Jamaica, that's St. Mary.
St. Mary, the water?
Yeah, man, spring water.
So what about Portland?
Portland, second.
Yeah, man. So after entering the JDF, right?
Right.
Did you immediately get into firefighter training, or that was a little while after?
That was a few years after. Initially, when I joined, I was a rifleman. So that's a basic soldier that goes out, does patrol, does ceremonial duties like a King's House, Jamaica House, opening a parliament, stuff like that. So I did that for like maybe 3 years in Delta Company, the 1st Battalion. So an opportunity came after about 3 years to go to the JDF Airwing. I didn't know what I was going to do over there, but to be honest, I found it to be easier than the infantryman's life, being in the air wing. So I took the opportunity, and then I ended up being a firefighter. So we're trained locally as firefighters within the air wing, and we're trained as airmen. So when you see that helicopter take off, we got to have a support staff to refuel, to help the pilot to be on board, to help the pilot to land, to load, and make sure the weight is distributed evenly and all that kind of stuff. So we're trained in all of that.
Okay, so it's a different type of training from being a rifleman.
It is. Yes, it is. So wherever you work in the JDF, the rifleman has to be the basis of what you are. So whatever specialty you get into, your basis is always the rifleman. So that's a platform for everyone back then. I'm not sure how they do it now. So yeah, I initially went to the air wing. We did like guard duties and all that, which is the basis, like the same rifleman stuff. But you got other areas that you can get into. So firefighting is what I got into when I went to the air wing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, as soon as you got into firefighter training, you had a fire to fight.
Yes.
What fire was that?
We had a couple, but we had some on Marcus Garvey Drive at the Freezone. Those were big because those were big warehouse buildings. There were a lot of materials in there, like to make textile material and stuff. So those were big ones. There was another big one in Servwell. That used to be an appliance distributor and manufacturer in Jamaica. They had a big warehouse close to 3 miles in St. Andrew. And one night that went up, I think it was 1993, and we had to respond. But now, bear in mind, when the JDF respond with our firefighter units, we usually get a request from the Jamaica Fire Brigade for help, and then that's how we respond. And that's how I ended up out there that night. It was a big fire.
Yeah. So you want to get into the details of what it was like fighting a fire?
It's kind of scary but you rely on your training. Just like being a rifleman, if you go to war, you rely on your training. So fighting a fire is the same. You rely on your training, and you don't rush in. You work as a team, and then you approach from a direction upwind where stuff is not blowing into your face directly, stuff is not falling on you. So the safety aspect is paramount. Because you want to save others, but you got to save yourself first. So yeah, it's scary, but when you work as a team and you have good leadership, which we had, that helped to push you in the right direction and to achieve what you set out to do, to extinguish a fire, to limit the exposure to other materials and whatnot. So, yeah. Another fire that stood out in my mind was the Carib Cinema fire. This came by about 1996. What happened was we had helicopter patrolling Kingston at the time. It could have been like the summer of 96. And we got a call because I was on duty. I was in charge of the fire unit responding in the JDF at that time, on duty at that time, that night. And they called us requesting help because our helicopter spotted the fire. They called the local fire brigade, and then they requested help. So that's how myself and my team got involved in that. I think that when I got there, it didn't look good. It didn't look good. And the report I got on my way there is that one firefighter was trapped inside.
Oh no.
So yeah, so we tried to locate him, but the structure itself, by the time I got there, started to get compromised. So honestly, we couldn't go on the second floor, I think he was. We couldn't get there because the fire had spread by this time, coming out of different ports. They're not sure exactly where he was up there because he had gone to rescue somebody else in there, and then he got trapped. Okay, he got trapped with some of the others. The others made it out, but he didn't at that time. So that's what we were working with when I got there. We started to put water on the building. And then I noticed we were putting water on the second floor, but it was coming down on a column. A lot of water gushing down. So in my mind, that's this structure is compromised, because when you got a upper floor and you're next to a column and then a lot of water coming back down, it tells you that the floor above has been compromised. So I told my guys to pull back. The local firefighters, they were there too. I advised them to pull back, but they're like, no, we got this, we're good, man, we're gonna go on. And I said, brother, we're in for a bad day because this structure is compromised. And they kind of start, when I pulled my guys back, they started to pull back a bit. And my fire truck became empty, so I went to Morosco Road to refill a water commission plant, came back. That entire section that I warned them about came down. Luckily, they pulled back. When I pulled my guys back, they pulled back. If not, we would have had more fatality than just the one guy that we couldn't find. I remember his last name was Blackwood. But yeah, when they found him later on, like a couple hours later, he was already dead. So yeah, that memory stood out with me. For us we were preparing for a big inspection in the JDF that the day after that fire. So my fire truck was clean, my staff was ready for an inspection from the upper brass of the military. They call it the admin inspection, but that got us out of the inspection because our truck, got messed up. We couldn't. The guys were not rested, so they gave us that morning off. So that's a good payoff, not having to stand for the inspection the next day. But yeah, that fire stood out in my mind of all the ones that we fought.
In 1988, I think it was September 12, right? September 12, 1988, right. We had Wild Gilbert, as we affectionately call it, right?
Yes.
And you were instrumental in infrastructure rebuilding, and security.
Right.
I'd like for you to touch a little bit on that and tell me how that went.
Well, Hurricane Gilbert, it bring back a lot of emotions to all of us. It bring back a lot of memories, some good, some not so good. For me, it was a scary time on more than one level. I was a first-time dad a week before Gilbert hit. My daughter was born. And being a new dad, everything was new to me. I was, a bit nervous about that, a bit nervous about her safety. But the night Gilbert hit, I was at home with her. But we had flooding, we had all kind of stuff. But after like a day, the day after Gilbert, I had to find my way to Upper Camp. Well, bear in mind, there was no public transport. There was nothing, in place. So I don't even remember how I made my way to downtown Kingston, but I had to walk from downtown Kingston to Upper Camp to start my duties. Now, initially, the first thing we had to do was a national security provide a network of security because there were no light, there was no water, food was scarce. People were like, getting their place broken into sometimes. So the security was the first order of business for us. So we did that, and then we got into food distribution to help, to get food to other parts of Jamaica from the warehouse, from the wharves and all that. So that's what we did for the first couple of weeks to stabilize things. And then after that, we got into the infrastructure rebuilding phase, where we assisted the Water Commission, we assisted the JPS to replant posts, to do all that kind of stuff. And we had people coming in from other countries. I remember some guys from Puerto Rico, some guys from the US coming to help to restore electricity. So yeah, it was, I was young then, but it was hard work, even for a young man. It was hard work. There were days when we had to run on like 4 hours or 2 hours sleep, because you're out all day helping to restore power or whatever else you do, or provide security. You come into camp, you get a little rest before the break of day, gone again, and that's how we did it. And we were happy to do it, So you start your day maybe in St. Andrew, you end up in St. Thomas by the end of the day. You could be in Portland, you could be in Westmoreland. It doesn't matter. We just got the job done. So, yeah. So, I'm proud that I could be a part of it. Yeah.
And what was your personal experience with Gilbert?
I have never seen a hurricane prior. We had one in my neck of the woods in St. Mary called Hurricane Allen. That was 1980. It came at night, so I was a kid. I was just scared. That's all I knew. But Gilbert was a different beast. It was horrible. You see, people roof going this left, right. The flooding that came with it. It was just a shocker to us. And I think Jamaica has not been the same since, because we've more adhered to the building codes, where people are more conscious and more aware of building secure structures. So I think that helped us in that way. But overall, it was amazing to go to places like St. Thomas, and you can see the hillsides. Everything was gone. Trees, everything. So you could see the earth. Looking on from miles away, you could see the earth on the hillsides away. All the trees most of them were wiped away. So that was a shocker. But we've had a few since, but God has been good to us. Yeah.
So you spent some time in Cuba, right?
Yes.
Guantanamo Bay.
Yes.
The U.S. Naval Base.
Right.
And you went there for firefighter training?
I went there for to work as a civilian firefighter, but my background before I got there was as a firefighter with Jamaican and U.S. training behind me, because I did a local firefighter training in 1992, and based on the outcome, the top people from the class, the JDF will send you on an overseas training. And that's how I get to go to Goodfellow Air Force Base in Texas in 1994 to do basic firefighter training, which includes structural, aircraft firefighting, little basic paramedic first aid kind of training at that time. So I came back from that training, and then I moved up in the air wing in Jamaica. After a while being there, I felt like I wanted to be a firefighter through and through, not a military, not the rifleman, not the corporal, just a firefighter, period. And so I started looking for other opportunities. And the ones that were presented to me was like, I could get into the Jamaica Fire Brigade as a driver, and still be able to do that. Or I could take the option to go to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and become a firefighter. So I took the option to go to Guantanamo Bay in the year 2000. So that's when I separated from the JDF. But everything that I have done since, the platform that I got from the JDF set me up for success. Getting to Guantanamo Bay in the year 2000, I was the only person there with prior firefighting in my class with prior firefighting experience in Jamaica. Number one. Number two, the only one with U.S. training as a firefighter So when I got there, some of the stuff was easier for me because we had basic training over there again. But in Guantanamo Bay, you got to understand that we're a little island. That community is a little community of, at the time, maybe 8,000 people, military, civilian, family, and all that, contractors, people providing service. But when you're there, you're on your own, per se. You don't have this support system of you can go to call Miami or call wherever and get help. So you got to be like a jack of all trades, as we say in Jamaica, a jack of all trades as a firefighter. So we were firefighters, we were hazmat technician, we were wildland firefighter, which is a separate specialty. We were hazmat technicians. Any emergency you can call, services you can call for. If you're in Guantanamo Bay, you got to be providing some element of that. So you're cross-trained in a lot of different areas. So I took advantage of that. So I started out as a firefighter in 2000. Then I became a driver operator. Around about 2002, 2003, I became a driver operator, where you've got to be certified to operate the equipment, the fire pumpers, the ladder trucks, and all that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got that certification then, and I just kept going because, to me, there's nothing else to do. My family is in Jamaica, and the only time I get to see them is when I go back to Jamaica. So I have a lot of time. Mm-hmm. So I devote a lot of time to studies. So that helped me to pass the time. Mm-hmm. So there came a little time when we had to do the medical technician training. That training that we did and the certification I got, I could be an ambulance crew member in America because the certification was the U.S. National Registry. Mm-hmm. It was a hard exam. The written part was hard. I remember like maybe 30 of us took the exam and maybe 5 of us made it.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so we were like pioneers, helping others along the way. A lot of other people caught up after that, but the initial group of us, maybe 4 or 5 of us made it. So I was proud of that. I made honor roll for the training as well, and I just went from there. Did all the fire equipment that we have in our department. We have regular pumper that goes to a house fire or a bush fire. We have equipment to do bush fire that specialize in like off-roads and all that. We have the airport equipment, which is the biggest piece of apparatus we have, apart from the ladder truck that we use for the structural. The airfield operation, you got to be certified in that. I got that done too. So it was a lot, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
So you're in Guantanamo Bay, right?
Yes.
And you're training, and you're full flight basically.
Right.
What are the accolades that came along your journey in Guantanamo Bay?
Well, when you work hard, people notice, and my supervisors and my managers, they appreciate what I do because teamwork is a form of basis. Like I told you from the JDF days, we get an appreciation for teamwork, and we put in the work. So my captains and my assistant chiefs, they always encourage me, and I got involved in training others, like being a mentor to other younger firefighters. So in 2007, I was awarded the Journeyman of the Year. Journeyman of the Year award is like the best firefighter that's not yet a supervisor. Mm-hmm. So I got that in 2007, and I kept working hard after award and before award, after award, because I wasn't even looking for recognition. It's just what we do. Mm-hmm. I used to help the community too by training and certifying members of the community in CPR and first aid, rescue kind of stuff. So did my supervisor level courses, fire inspector, fire instructor, fire officers, all that, level 1, level 2s. And in 2008, I was promoted to captain. I was the first in my group because our group that went to Guantanamo Bay in 2000 was the biggest group to join the fire department at any one time over its history. So I was first from my group of probably 20 odd persons to be promoted to captain. So my journey continued from there. I was posted at a little station on the outskirts for most of it. But I made the most of the time with my crew because I've always committed to making my crew the best. So we train and everything. So when we get to work with other members of our department, or when they go, individually to work, or we go as a group, they always stand out. And after a while, I was moved to another station that's in a more secured part of the base that I can't get too much into. But we operated alone for a bit. Any emergency we get, others will come to help us. But we are on our own for a while. So it makes you bond more as a team, and it makes you prepare more for anything that could be thrown at you. So, yeah. Wildfires are our biggest enemy up there. Bushfires are our biggest enemy. It takes out a lot of acreage, and it could impact infrastructure as well, So we try to prevent those, and we do inspections, we do checks. If we get one, we try to cut it off and restrict it before it gets, it goes running. Because if it goes running, there's a lot of food that are supplies for it, because of the grass, the trees and stuff. So, yeah, and we just maintain vigilance generally, because every month we do building inspections, make sure buildings are secured, electrical system is intact and all that. Medically, we're first responders too. Like I said earlier, you're cross-trained in a lot of areas. So when you respond, you're not sure what you're gonna get, but whatever you get, you're the first expert on scene. So me with my medical background as a emergency medical technician, we do triage, we do initial assessment, wait on the ambulance crew to get there, give them a brief what happened, transport, do what we do, go back into service after that. So, yeah, being a captain, I obviously have to supervise a lot of people. It was challenging sometimes. Challenging dealing with Americans, challenging dealing with Jamaican, but you make it work. You make it work. And I was transferred to the main station after a while. So you're as a captain, you're being in charge of other stations. I did that for a bit. After a while, another brother of mine who traveled the same path, similar path to me, through the JDF. We trained together in the JDF. We went to Guantanamo Bay together. He relieved me at the main station as a captain. I went back to my little station, did my thing, and then 18 years later, I was out of there. I love being a firefighter, and that's why I chose to leave the JDF to become a firefighter solely, because to this day, it's the only job that I've done that I would do for free.
Oh, wow.
It is the only job that I've done as a firefighter that I would do for free. I loved it that much. And I still do think about it. I still do think about them as a brotherhood, and they're still carrying on the tradition in Guantanamo Bay right now. So just to get it straight, we were never military members. We went to work in Guantanamo Bay as civilians from Jamaica. We worked for the military, but we were not U.S. military members. But we support everything that they do, right?
So while you were stationed there in Guantanamo Bay, you were also the vice president for the Jamaica Independence Day Committee, right?
Right. Yeah, that's correct.
Tell me a little bit about that.
The committee was formed to raise and maintain awareness of the Jamaican culture, everything Jamaican. So I was privileged to be a part of that committee. I used to donate my time previously, and then they voted me to be vice president. 2010 through 2012, I was vice president. So what we do, we do fundraising. We bring entertainers from Jamaica, different acts during independence period. So we had to raise some money to do that. So we have cookouts, different ways of raising money. And then we stage the event, which is not just a one-day event. It's like an entire week. Like we do church service, we do party, dance, all kinds of stuff. We play cricket because I'm a cricket fan. I play a little bit of cricket myself. My son played. So we do football, we do track. It's an entire week of activity. So I was honored to be a part of that between 2010 and 2012.
Nice.
Right.
Okay. So like I feel like, of course, Jamaicans are everywhere,
Right.
and you have served 18 years? Yeah, 18-year veteran.
18 years, yeah, with Guantanamo Bay Fire Department, yes.
And I want to ask you, what's your motivation? What kept you motivated those entire 18 years?
Well, my family is the first thing. My family keep me grounded. They motivate me. My son is always encouraging me to reach higher, to do more. So my family, and then my love for running. It's funny enough, I didn't love running when I was in the military. It was after I left the JDF, I gained my love for running. So Negril Marathon, Kingston Marathon, all of them, I used to participate. So I'm not the man I used to be, but I still do a little bit of running here and there. But my family they always have my back, and they keep me motivated and keep me driven, keep me going. So, yeah.
So Philmore, we got into your duties, your training, all of that,
Right.
and your motivations. But what was fulfilling about being a firefighter all those years?
The first thing is to help people when they're in distress. That's my first thing, to help somebody when they're having a bad day. When you go over the horizon, I always tell my firefighters, when you go over the horizon and you see something burning, or you see somebody on the ground or something like that, it's not a good day for them. So I'm always motivated to help, and that's what keep me on point to get my training done, to keep my certifications up, and to make sure when I go out there to help somebody that I could do the best job. So that's what keeps me going. Yeah.
I always admire how people in the rural areas of Jamaica look out for each other.
Yeah,
and this real community vibe.
That's how we grew up. Yeah, man. That's strictly community vibes where, you pass Mr. John, you tell him morning, you pass Miss Jane, you say how they do one thing, and it's just, if we have banana or we are planting, we share with neighbor down, so, and vice versa. And that's how we live for true. That's how St. Mary set up for true. Yeah, man.
Okay.
We always share with each other.
And did the army mirror any of that?
Yes, a lot of it, with teamwork and with helping each other. Yeah, the army totally mirror that, and nobody left behind. We even have a WhatsApp group when we say no one left behind, so we still keep the bond even to this day. But we look out for each other, we encourage each other. We still push forward in the best way we can.
All right. So being somebody who is from St. Mary, Enfield, I'd say is rural, because when I went there, it felt very rural, right?
A bush place, man.
How much of that have you carried here to the States with you, and how much community do you have in and around your surroundings here?
If you should ask my son or my wife or my daughter that's still back in Jamaica, how much I yearn for them days there. I talk about it every day. The simple living, I believe in simplicity. And I miss that every day. Even yesterday I was talking to my wife about it. Even last night. It's still ringing in my mind all the time. The simple way of living. You just do it. If you don't make your provision and have your thing and you're good, you just travel along your path. This the simplest thing, the greatest joy. So I wish I could bottle that up. My childhood, I'm even my adulthood, my Jamaican living, and have it right now. Because it's a way of life. I want a different way of life, and always on the go, always this, always that. I like to chill and chill in my own way, in my own space. I'm on my own terms. Yeah, so I'm not get to do it as often as I used to, but yeah, man, at the best, man. At the best living, man.
And what memory of Jamaica, right? Someone who lives in the United States now. What core memory of Jamaica would you like to hold on to? Apart from what you just tell me about, one core memory. Either it would be with grandma or your siblings or your time in the army. What one memory you'd like to hold on to?
It's kind of a difficult question, because there's so many good little pieces, good segments that you would like to hold on to. But you see the bond when I have with my father. My father passed away 2011. I wish I could go back in time and just keep and capture, because I don't know if it happened to you, but it probably happened to some other people. When I listen to my old Jamaican music, I'm a lot. When I listen to my music, like my 80s music, I said, Jaja, them time, I live with Granny. I have my whole family structure around me where, you know, me did am on good place.
Yes.
I wish me could have captured back that part. If me could have captured the segment in the 80s, the whole of the 80s, it would be golden. Yeah, man, my best living, best life.
Nice. So the music coming like a portal.
Yeah, it take me back. Yeah, it take me back. It take me back for true, man. And all the people I love and care about are from that era there. Yeah, man. Most of them. Well, not all, but most of them are from that era there. Yeah, man.
And I figure those times were nicer, more simpler times.
It's simple. Yeah, it's nicer, it's simpler, and people are more genuine.
Yes.
We become more materialistic. The more things we gain, we keep losing the basic and the simplicity. You know? So, we lose a lot of the simple things and then the nicer way we used to do things. You know? So, I miss that. I honestly miss that.
All right. So, before we wrap, I would have like you can talk into the camera if you want. Right, to the audience and just kind of give them a word of advice or a word of teaching or anything that you want them to take away as a Jamaican to a Jamaican.
Well, I think Jamaica is the nicest place on earth. I think we're special. We're a small little island, but we're special in so many different ways. So what I would like to say is just treat each other the way you want to be treated. And we could get rid of all the little animosity, all the little violence, and all them things there, and nobody can stop we. Nobody, and we are stop ourselves. So if we get rid of some of the little things and we are hold back, the little negativity them, we're unstoppable. So that was my message. Just love for each other and just make the thing work.